James and the Food Burglar by James Sandine. Chapter 1. The Robber. One night at about 2:15 a.m., someone sneaked into James's kitchen and stole every morsel in the fridge, cupboard, and pantry. The robber woke James, but James couldn't get downstairs to see him in time. James decided not to call the police, but to catch the robber, then bring him to the police. He came up with a great idea to go and buy some cameras. He would set them up in his kitchen so the next time the robber broke in, James would catch him on camera and show the police. So that's exactly what he did. But when he was buying the cameras at the store, he kept on hearing strange noises and started to get the feeling that he was being watched. But he just decided it was his ears playing tricks on him and moved on. Right when James got to his house, he went and hung up all 3 of his cameras in the kitchen. "This will catch him," exclaimed James. The very next night the robber came again, but he must know that James hung up those cameras because he cut the wires and stole everything in the kitchen. Of course the robber woke James and was not really happy that his $2,000 cameras were ruined. Now he had to go grocery shopping. Again! "There goes a year's worth of allowance," screamed James. This time James decided to try something different, but still with the camera. The next night James went into a closet with a handheld video camera and waited for the robber to strike again. Sure enough, the robber came, but James was prepared. He turned on his video camera hoping to see the robber. He had to be patient, though, because the robber once again emptied out his whole kitchen, including his chocolate stash. Chapter 2. The Food Fight. James had had enough. All of a sudden, James attacked the food burglar. He picked up a handful of rice from the burglar's stash and threw it right at his face. "Eat rice," screamed James. The burglar came back and hit James right in the head with a frozen mushroom. "Disgusting," exclaimed James. "Who even are you?" shouted James. The burglar didn't talk. He just picked up a heaping handful of James' least favorite food, broccoli, and shoved it down his throat. James swallowed hard with a disgusted look on his face. "That's it, mister. You just pulled the wrong lever," screamed James. All of a sudden, James picked up a can of his dad's undercooked sardines, grabbed the burglar by the mouth, and started dumping the sardines in his mouth one at a time. The burglar fell to the floor, almost defeated, but not yet. The burglar slowly crept his way over to the pile of food that he robbed. Then he did the unspeakable. He picked up a type of food that James had only experienced once in his life, and that time he threw up. It was Brussels sprouts. He forced James to eat the whole can. But when James was done, he threw up. Twice. "That's it, whoever you are. I'm going to take you down," muttered James. Then James grabbed some ropes from the utility closet and tied the robber to the cupboard. The robber started to squirm and tried to escape, so James had to tape up his mouth, rope his arms together, and even tie his feet to stop the robber from escaping. "You're one tough robber," said James. "But now that I have you tied down, it doesn't look like you'll be winning this food fight," exclaimed James. "But what will I do with you?" "Wait, I know what I'll do with you, but you will not like it," shouted James. Chapter 3. The Recipe. James was not going to do anything violent to the robber, but that punishment should be enough to make him faint so James could call the police. So James went over to the blender and started making the worst recipe that had ever been made. Here are the ingredients. They are not pretty. Mushrooms, spinach, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, artichoke, sardines, and chopped liver. Then James ground up all the ingredients and poured it all into a cup. James went over to the robber and poured the whole cup into his mouth. His plan worked. The robber passed out. Then James went to the phone and called the police, and within minutes the police were at his house. James let the police in his house, and they went over to the robber and took off the robber's mask. James nearly passed out because the robber was one of his best friends, Luke. "Oh, man, I should have known it was you. After all, you love to eat," said James. "Yeah, I robbed your fridge because I knew you had a lot of good food in there," explained Luke. "Okay, I guess I'll let you go this time because I know how hungry you can get," said James. "I'll let you go with my rice, but nothing else, especially my chocolate." "All right, I'll see you tomorrow at school," said James. "Okay, see you there. Bye. Oh, and thanks for the rice," exclaimed Luke. That is the story of James and the Food Burglar, also known as Luke. By the way, keep an eye open for Luke, because you never know, you may be the next victim.